Hi everybody, and welcome to the conclusion of carving our expressions on our wood. And right here I'm just drawing more hair in. In the last video we had grouped it into a bunch of little clumps. So I'm sitting here and I'm taking my Dremel and my flame-shaped bit and I'm making a couple more clumps. And some of it might be out of video, but it's not that far down. I'll raise it up in a second. I'm just doing the same thing. And what I do is I undercut the ones above and then undercut the ones below. And you just kind of layer it down. And this is a different way for you guys to do hair. And just mixing it up a little bit. So he's not so dull, just having some wavy lines in his beard, you know. So that's what I'm going to do with this as far as hair goes. And I'm going to try and break that up even a little more by adding more texture by breaking it up in those groups that we made. Okay, and I'm still using the flame bit here, but I'm going to switch over. You see how I did that? Now that you can see what I did, it's a little bit higher up. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the comb bit, and I'm going to try and define a lot of this. And we'll try and get some, harder lines. I like to also use my V tool or my knife for this. And I'll go over a lot of my lines, and then I'll use this bit to do even more lines in those hair groups that we made, like so. And we'll just try to break it up as much as we can and give it the appearance of a little bit more hair everywhere. Now I'll show you a couple of things you can do when we're done with this wood spirit with paint. I like to just mess around a little bit with paint and do a little shading and the eyes and stuff, and I'll post a couple of pictures after I sand them down and do some shading on them. I'm probably not going to spend too much time on them. I think we've spent enough. And you should have a pretty good idea how we did this one. But I'll give you some more ideas towards the end of the video here. Just reinforcing all my lines with that cone-shaped bit. Especially if I'm going to paint, I like to have some pretty good lines to stop the paint. And then I like to shade, but you don't have to paint your cottonwood bark or any wood spirits. You could just stain them, you could leave them the way they are. I have a lot in my home where I just leave them natural. I don't do anything to them actually, because I don't really like when I put a finish on them, because then they get too dark. But I don't mind painting them, because you can really play with the paint. And I've got some pretty funky ones that I painted in my day. I'll give you a couple examples like I said at the end. So that's all I'm doing there, and then I'm going to take a nice round ball, the Dremel ball, alright, it's a steel cutter, and I like to go over the whole carving with it and kind of round off the hard edges and gets a lot of fuzzies off, and it varnishes it a little bit, cleans it up. I'll just speed through this. And it tends to smooth things over, and it gets a little bit more gullies in it. If I really want to, I could put a little more wrinkles under his eyes with it, but they're not real deep. Stuff like that. I'll show you what I mean once I'm done down here with the beard. But I do like to take a lot of the sharp edges off and clean it up with this. Now see right under here, see those very faint lines? It works really good for stuff like that, and rounding and blending those top eye bags and into the bottom ones. So I just go around the whole carving with it and use it however I see fit. And give myself a little extra detail with it. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. We still got to sand them down with 220. I'm going to take my V tool and give them a little bit of hair. up in here. And I also like to run this through the beard. I could take that steel ball and go through every piece of that beard and make real deep gullies and then run my V-tool if I wanted more realistic hair. I'm just trying to show you a bunch of different techniques and different ways we could do our wood spirits. I could even undercut with my V-tool every bag on the face here and it would really stand out. For instance, if I run my V-tool through some of this. But if I wanted it to look more realistic, I would actually make impressions with that ball first and then run my V-tool, okay? But that's okay. This video's been long enough and we got plenty of time and plenty of channel to explore new ways to do more hair and new techniques. I'm just going to do what I'm doing here, and he's looking okay. I'll brush him off. Now we do have to sand them down and clean them all up. But he doesn't look too bad. That's pretty much what we're going to end up with. And once I sand him down, let me show you a couple of things that I would probably do with paint if I wanted to paint this guy. I mean, he's still pretty rough yet. He needs to be sanded. So let me show you what you can do with a little bit of the paint. It makes it really pop sometimes, and other times, not so much. So this is what we ended up with afterwards. Now, if we add a little bit of paint on his eyes, look what we can do. Now you can change that paint a couple of different ways. Here's another version, and here's another version. So don't be afraid to play with the paint, because the more you play with these guys, the more interesting you can make him. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please join me in the next one. So thanks for watching, everybody.